I work a lot with solo entrepreneurs as well as, I guess, small, medium-sized businesses. And I think a lot of solo entrepreneurs, rightly as it was discussed just at the start, really don't know the barrier of whether to be a freelancer or to have a limited company. Because sometimes, and I think it just depends on what they're looking to do, whether it's a one-man band consultancy or if they're trying to create a product and a business. But a lot of the time, even the ones that want to make a product, I think the most difficult thing is the commitment side of finding good people and good partners to actually register a company. And one of the questions I think I've been asked, and I'm actually not 100% certain about, and I don't really answer it, I say go speak to an accountant, is if they were to get, let's just say, angel investment or get any type of financial aid prior to, like, because a lot of them believe they should register a limited company, open up a business bank account, and then receive the income. But is it possible for them to receive that angel investment prior to registering a limited company?
Well, all I was really going to say was that, there's nothing that precludes or prefers, the vehicle in which you take your initial investment. I mean, amongst the sort of I think it's about 6 million, what are defined as small businesses in the UK at the moment, and there's a reason that probably 3 times as many remain and stay as sole traders, and that is primarily because of the perceived additional administrative burden. And when you start moving into the realms of limited company, you have some administrative burden in the way of annual filings, statutory returns, the need to file corporation tax returns, etc. Whereas as long as you stay as a sole trader, you are only ultimately judged once a year under your self-assessment. So in terms of actually taking the investment in, you take investment in as a sole trader, and the extent to which you invested into your assets and use it in the business, that is always shown as an investment. Obviously, if people are putting money into you with a view to growth, it will often suit that angel investor to put it in the form of equity, and therefore in the form of a limited company, because that then clearly defines that they are part shareholders of that business. If you're investing as an angel into a person, you effectively transfer, say, 100,000 into their bank account. At that point, there is no real connection other than the fact that you have lent, one person has lent another person some money, and the extent to which that's regulated, the extent to which that actually ever generates any form of dispute or agreement or future problems would ultimately be driven by the agreement that 2 private individuals sign between one another. So realistically, it's only really governed by the terms, implied or explicit, that the one person, the lender, insists upon when they put that money into the other person's bank account. And remember that a sole trader does not have to have a bank account in the name of that business, franchise, or consultant. But it does need to record that income separately. So that is primarily why whenever somebody sets up a small business, be it small company, be it sole trader, be it limited company, we're always advised to have a separate bank account, just so that you have that instant disaggregation of what is your personal funding and what is your business. I don't know if, Mark, you have any other thoughts, but I mean, to what extent might that investment potentially be deemed to be income in the hands of an individual rather than maybe where it's clearly been invested into, say, share capital? Does it depend on the documentation?
Yeah, it's the documentation. So if you are receiving angel investment, I would always set up a limited company, because it just protects you, the director. Despite them investing in you, the person, which they ultimately are, really they want to be investing in a vehicle. It protects you, the shareholder. You're able to already agree the terms, be it entitled to a dividend or a profit share, or voting rights as well. You can define the terms very clearly at that stage. The other thing you mentioned, I mean, whenever you are thinking of setting up a limited company, I always advise on who your customer is. So more often than not, that if you invoice from a sole trader, you might give that perception that you're not big enough, when you're doing consultancy work. It comes down to, as well, with VAT. Often we have clients who even though when I think of Cube when we first started, you know, we were quoting for bigger jobs, but we hadn't reached the VAT threshold, and we always felt, you know, should we be VAT registered? Will people think of us as being smaller? And you need to think about that whenever you're dealing with your customers, that if that will put them off. You know, do I think if we ever lost business due to that? We probably have, with a couple of clients where we quoted work and it just wasn't, we didn't get it. And I always thought maybe it's because we weren't big enough. And the other thing is, people are scared. I mean, I would probably have 4 or 5 conversations a day. People are scared of having a limited company. And you mention things like limited companies or VAT, and the fear that they speak to you, that even if they call up the office, that you're being charged straight away. I mean, we've never worked like that, me and Richard, or anyone at Cube. We don't really work like that. We prefer speaking to people and giving them the options and talking them through, because the amount of fear it causes, the word company's house or HMRC, it just puts people off when they could be in a much more suitable structure, you know, company-wise, or with shareholders, or, you know, shareholder agreements and things like that. So we'd always advise, just speak to an accountant or reach out, especially, you know, you're always free to call Qt and we can give you advice on that. But yeah, I would reach out with as many questions as you can, and not be scared about the words like HMRC.